Welcome back to the Get Stark podcast. It has been a minute, and I hope you all are having a tremendous start to 2019. The last time I recorded was with Coach Zach Woodfin, and we had a great talk and got to hear a lot of his story. That was back in mid-December. So here we are, we're back at it, and unfortunately, my guest today was unable to make it. She had a flight delayed and will not be in to Lawrence until tonight. So, hoping to have her on sometime in the near future. I think that'll be a good one that everybody will really enjoy. But I have had to pivot today and go in a different direction with the podcast. So, I had the studio reserved and wanted to capitalize on that. And as a result, I reached out to some friends and asked them all to shoot me some questions. And I'm going to turn this into a little Q&A session. It probably won't be very long. Hopefully it's of interest and provide some value or entertainment to you. But this is my first time doing a Q&A podcast, so I'm pretty excited. And yeah, we'll get things rolling with a question from Caleb. Caleb asks, "Are you tired of Saints fans complaining yet?" And I guess I would start by saying, yes, I am. I'm sick of the Saints fans and fans in general complaining. But I do understand because it was such a horrible missed call by the NFL's referees. It was a blatant pass interference. And as a result, clock stops in the entire momentum and kind of outlook on the game changes because the Rams were able to get the ball back and force overtime and obviously win it in overtime. So that call does change everything. If they make the call, chances are the Saints can run the clock, kick the field goal, and we're talking about Patriots Saints, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. But that's not the case. That's not the storyline. But that is what we're hearing a lot of. We're hearing a lot of complaints and negativity out of New Orleans, and rightfully so. I mean, I'd be super bummed if this is the Packers and it happened to us, and we missed out on an opportunity for Rodgers to go to the Super Bowl in one of his final seasons. So it makes sense from that standpoint. But let's think about this. Saints were up 13-0. Saints had the ball first in overtime. The Saints had the ball on their own 30, I want to say, when Breeze threw it up to Ted Ginn, and there's only a minute and 50 seconds left or 2 minutes left. They could have run out the clock, but instead they decided to throw on first or second down, and that changed the entire complexion of the game. So Saints fans, there are missed calls going both ways every single game, and it's time to face the facts. You guys had plenty of opportunities to win. You should have won, but you let the Rams sneak back into the game. You took 2 field goals on your first 2 possessions when you could have scored 2 touchdowns. So it's on you guys. You needed to play a little bit better. Drew Brees needed to come through in the clutch, and it just didn't happen. So, yes, I'm tired of Saints fans complaining. Let's get on with it. The Rams won. The Patriots won. Questionable calls both ways, but let's not send letters to Roger Goodell and threaten his life or tell him that they need to take it back and let the Saints play in the Super Bowl. That's absolutely ridiculous. Question number 2 coming from Chelsea. What's your biggest challenge since moving to Lawrence, and how did you overcome it if you did? I would say first and foremost, it's family for sure. Being here, I am about 8 hours if I'm driving away from my family back in Wisconsin, whereas when I was in La Crosse, it was only 2.5. I did spend one summer in Colorado working at a youth camp, but that was only a few months. So since moving here, it's been 2.5 years, and it is really challenging only making it home for Christmas and maybe sometime during the summer. But I am really lucky and fortunate to have parents that always make a fall and spring trip down to Lawrence. So I get to see them and they often bring my dog Cooper, and that always really kind of breaks up the season, and it makes me super happy because I'm a family guy, and although I have a smaller family, it means a lot to me to get that quality time in. And my dad's pushing 70, my mom's over 60, so it's not like we've got an infinite amount of time together. So I just really hope to take these next couple decades to make memories with them and hopefully get to a place where I'm financially stable, and I can take them on vacations, and we can um, do a lot of fun things and cross some stuff off their bucket list because yeah, that's what life's all about, is experiences and memories with people that we love. The second biggest challenge is definitely finances. Um, I haven't made good money since moving to Lawrence, and I did make pretty good money the year before I moved here when I was in lacrosse working as a server and bartender. So that adjustment has been challenging. It has definitely helped me grow and evolve, though, from a financial standpoint. And I think I can kind of get into that with this next question from my man Mitch. What is your advice to someone about to start college? So first and foremost is finances. So it'll kind of go along with where I was at in the last question, but I think it's important every month to determine all of the money that's coming in as well as all the money that's going out. So basically budgeting 101, setting up an Excel document. You can even categorize it if you really desire to do so, or you can just every time you spend money, just add it to a column. Every time you make money, add it to a column, and at the end of the month, see where you're at. Maybe you have some areas that you're really spending more money than you should, probably revolving around beer or buying clothes and material items that we don't need. And I'm all for treating yourself. If you want to go get a facial, like I know you did yesterday, Mitch, be my guest. Go get that facial. Or if you want to get a pedicure or you want to treat yourself to a nice cup of coffee, do it. Life's too short, but also remember that is small habits and um, little things, little moments, say no, they can really add up and make a big time difference in the long run. My second piece of advice for extracurriculars would, or for college students, would be extracurriculars. So I think it's really important to get involved in different clubs. I got involved with sport management club at the University of Wisconsin lacrosse. Here at KU, I started getting involved as a tutor in athletics, and I volunteered and interned in the communications department, and all these different endeavors that allowed me to build relationships with key people that have in turn helped me to secure a job in KU Leads, and o- overall just really have provided me with insight, and it's been a great way to have mentors in an area that I'm interested in. Um, and I think there's a lot of other ways you can get involved extracurricularly, and that's like at the rec, doing intramural sports. Some of my best memories from undergrad were playing pickup basketball with my roommates and getting into these leagues with our friend group. And here I'm in a volleyball league on Sunday nights, and we have such a good time, and I always look forward to that. It's one of the highlights of my week. So I think just having different spaces that you get involved with can help from a networking standpoint and meeting people that'll help you down the road. But even more, it can help you to get connected and help your mental health, because at the end of the day, it's all about connection, having relationships and people that you can lean on. And if all you're doing is going to class and isolating yourself, which is very easy to do in college, you're not going to have a tremendous experience. And then finally, my last piece of advice would be hustle. Like, figure out what you want to do if you're really going to go to college. Um, whether that be law school, whether you want to go to medical school, whether you want to go into business and get an MBA, like figure that out earlier than later and really just go all in on it and hustle. Try to finish in 3.5 years. Do whatever you can to, um, build relationships with professors and and help them maybe get involved with some research or writing different things. Think outside of the box. It's a new age where there's a lot of online opportunities and social media. You can help to grow brands or provide value in that way that a lot of the older people and professors maybe aren't super familiar with. So I would say be creative and um, yeah, just hustle. Don't just because the government's giving you 20 or $30,000 a year to cover your expenses, you might feel this sense of comfort, but realize that when you're done, you're going to get something in the mail and it's going to be a bill and you're going to have to pay that. So if you can finish in 3.5 rather than 5, make it happen. You don't necessarily need a minor. Just get your major and get on with it. Mitch also asked, if you could live anywhere you want, where do you think that would be? So for a long time, I would have said California. I really enjoy it out there. I like their weather. I like their culture. There's so much to do. You got mountains, ocean. So California would be really cool, even though I know there's a lot of different things with the wildfires and maybe politically that aren't super great in California right now, but I think every place has its pros and cons, and I would really like to live in Cali for at least a while. And then internationally, I would really enjoy living in Copenhagen. So I got to travel there a couple summers ago, I think 3 summers ago, and spend some time with my good buddy Casey, and I love the colors and the aesthetics of Copenhagen. You can kind of see it in the little Bay Area where there's all the different homes and buildings, and each one's an individual color. And I just love that. I love their beach. I love their people. They're very happy. They're very friendly. Mental health there is probably better than it is anywhere else in the world, just Denmark in general. And the food is really good. I enjoyed the coffee. The nightlife is pretty exciting. So I would say Copenhagen would be the place for me if I was to go international. California still probably up there for me in regards to America, but I'm very curious about Oregon and the Carolinas, and then obviously Wisconsin is forever going to have a big place in my heart. My buddy Grayson asks, why is our generation so anxious? So I kind of have a theory revolving around this, and it's not fully formed, so I'll just try to express it the best I can. But back in the day, human beings, we didn't have as much on our plate when it comes to like professionally and everything that revolves around that. But when we woke up, we didn't know if a saber-toothed tiger was lurking around us or um, if there was a bear stalking our camp or whatever it was. We had to hunt and gather our food, and we couldn't just hit a button and have food delivered to our doorstep or go swing through Chick-fil-A and snag a chicken sandwich. We had to work for a lot. We had to work for everything we ate. We had to build our homes. We we lived in communities that were very tight knit, and cell phones didn't exist, so we weren't all just scrolling on Instagram and Twitter while hanging out with our families and friends. We actually were present and told stories and laughed and cried. Whereas these days, everything seems so easy. Even just this right now, like me being in the studio recording a podcast. I walked up the hill, I came in here, set up my laptop, I hit record, and now I'm talking and I'm answering questions, and I'll do a few things to get it ready and I'll publish it, and then people all over the world can hear it. Granted, only 13 people will listen, but still, I mean, it is available across the world, and that is so amazing, and we're so lucky to have that. But it just seems like life is so easy right now. like we don't necessarily have to work for things. And I think that's where we get the most fulfillment, is from working towards a bigger goal. I think psychology would probably tell us that we're happier when we're working towards something that's bigger than ourselves. So going to med school and being on that path to become a doctor, um, going and getting your master's and then your PhD, or for me, like starting this podcast, the process of like day one, I want to start this podcast, but I have no idea what that even looks like, to all the way to today. It's brought me great fulfillment. I've loved every minute of it. I wish I could podcast more, and I wish I could make a career out of it because I really enjoy it. But even if it's just a hobby for the rest of my life, it's still something that um, it fulfills me and it gives me meaning. So we need those kinds of things, and I think that's kind of missing. The second piece, I think, is social media, and I am a proponent of social media. Anybody listening to this knows that I'm active on lots of sites: Quora, Instagram, Twitter, and there's a reason for that, and it's because there's a lot of value there. And the value is that a lot of people put their attention into these spaces. And what I love about that is it gives me an opportunity to provide positivity and share stories and inspire people and motivate people. And some people might think that what I say or share is corny. They might not like it. They might dish out hate, and that's fine, because I don't see a lot of those people making any sort of impact or even trying. A lot of them just kind of lurk in the back, they lurk in the dark, and they just wait for a moment to bring somebody down. And that's not who I am. I'm going to be somebody who tries to bring people up. But with that said, social media, it kind of encourages us to compare our lives to other people. Most people are only willing to share their highlights and the best moments of their life on social media. Um, they like to post the summit of the mountain. They're not posting the battle to get up the mountain. And, we spend most of our lives somewhere between elation, which is like summiting a mountain, and despair, which is like, my girlfriend just broke up with me. Holy crap, what am I going to do? Um, and we live in that kind of like middle area, but we only want to show this side and we want to hide this side. So that it creates a lot of tension when this is all you see, is you see people's best moments. I just got hired for a new dream job, right? People love posting that. The second they get hired, it's like, so excited to announce, so grateful to announce that I just was hired by my dream company for my dream job. And I love it. I'm all about it. Happy for people. But when we only post these positive things and big news, we got to remember that there's other people they're just seeing that, and maybe they don't have much to be excited about. So that can create a lot of anxiety and depression, is the comparison, the FOMO, as they call it, the fear of missing out. So I like to spin that into JOMO, the joy of missing out, because the older I get, the more I realize that I really recharge when I'm on my own or just hanging out in small groups. When I'm in big groups, I get pretty anxious, and I tend to maybe sometimes get trapped in my own head and overthink. So that's not always healthy, and it does depend on the people and the environment. But um, so self-awareness is key. Knowing yourself, knowing where you're comfortable, knowing how you recharge. And if something isn't serving you, learning to deactivate your Facebook account or delete your Snapchat app. Whatever it is, whatever your struggle is, we've got to be intentional about letting go of things in life. I think not often enough people let go of devices, apps, people, food, substances that don't help to elevate them, that kind of hold them back. So in life, we have basement people and we have balcony people, and balcony people help to elevate us. They're lights in our lives. They make us want to be better. And we also have basement people and those are people that try to bring us down. They don't want us to reach our full potential, and that can be really challenging because sometimes those are the people who are the most fun, and sometimes those are the people that we're most comfortable around. So finding the courage to let go of them is challenging, and it's not easy, but sometimes that's the right thing to do, and it's what we need to do. So Grayson, that's what I think is causing a lot of our generation's anxiety is fear of missing out, social media, seeing everybody's highlight reel, and just life being so easy right now because everything is available to us just like that. Any question you have, you just Google it and you find the answer. So I think we all need more challenges in our lives, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I think we need to reassess how we use social media and how we consume social media. Katie asked a variety of questions, so we'll kind of use this as like a rapid fire. I've got no answers prepared, so this is a mystery for me. Okay. Go to workout. I would definitely say weight training. I've always been a pretty skinny guy, so I want to be stronger. I'd like to be perceived as a strong guy, be able to fit in my clothes a little bit more. 180 pounds has been my goal for a long time, and I think I'm at like 172. So that's going to continue to be my go-to workout, even though my girlfriend is a big-time runner and I always run with her. That's kind of the antithesis to getting big and strong. But yeah, it's a tension I'll have to sort through. Guilty pleasure, I would definitely say I have a sweet tooth. So I'm all about ice cream. Silas and Maddie's here in Lawrence is absolutely tremendous. And I love chocolate, cake, brownies, cookies. Cookie dough. Cookie dough might be a guilty pleasure. Absolutely. Unpopular opinion. Got a few of these. And so I would actually say one of my more unpopular, but maybe increasingly popular opinions is that you shouldn't go to college. Albeit, if you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, if you want to be a professor, and you know that for sure, then yeah, you go to college for sure. That's the route. That's what you have to do. But if you're graduating high school and you're just doing it because it's the social norm, then I would 100% encourage somebody to go to trade school, to travel a little bit, to get a job and just make money and start saving, um, and figure out if they can cultivate a passion rather than always pursuing our passion. That's honestly what I did getting into sports is just I love sports. So I'm going to go in sports and work and live in sports for the rest of my life. Well, now I'm at the point where I don't know if that is going to be the reality. I don't know if I will be in sports for the rest of my life. And I hope I do. I hope that I've committed and grinded long enough that it's going to happen. But, I've been pursuing this for 10 years. And I'm still not really making much money or in any sort of big role in the industry. I'm still, as of right now, I'm technically an intern. And yeah, something I can't live without. I can't live without coffee, I don't think. I drink coffee pretty much every morning. I had a cup before I came up here to record in the studio. Um, Coffee is, I mean, when you think about coffee, it's like it's something to look forward to in the morning, which helps me get out of bed, which is like one of my biggest obstacles of the day is just like getting out of bed. Once I'm out, I'm usually pretty good. But especially right now when I think it was like 10 below Celsius this morning when I woke up. So that just absolutely brutal. Makes it really challenging to get out of bed in the winter. So coffee, it also helps you poop, helps you focus a little bit. It's kind of like almost like a prestigious or sophisticated look to just be walking around with your coffee, put on your glasses if you got your glasses and suddenly you look educated even if you're not. And it's a good social thing. You can ask girls out on dates, or girls, you can ask guys out on dates. Ask a professor to go grab some coffee, or a professional you look up to. Cheap date, but it's always good. So I can't live without coffee, and I have no intentions of doing so. And lastly, my good friend Hannah Weingartner, what does your dream job look like? That's a really good question. I think so. My dream job is definitely something that gives me independence and freedom, financial freedom, and just the ability to work remotely, to travel and not be confined to an office. That is exactly what I'm looking for in my professional life. And I don't know how I'm going to create that reality, but I think online business and making money is becoming more and more viable. So, building out a website is a big goal of mine for 2019, and it's something that I need to start hitting hard. And, being even like a life coach, I think that sounds kind of weird and people probably have stigma surrounding that, but if I was able to like get that at an accredited organization or school, that's something that I would really enjoy. I've always wanted to be a coach. I thought I was going to be the next Bill Self, and I don't think that's probably not going to happen because typically you have to play at a high level in order to coach at a high level, and even not. I mean, college hoops it's a tough industry to break into, and it's also a very tough industry to work in. Their hours and recruiting and travel, it's tough to be a family man. So I think having that freedom to be able to work and be at home and around my family and travel is definitely a key piece. And I also want to be a source of inspiration for people. So hopefully this podcast can do a little bit of that, and my writing on Quora and whatever other ways that I'm able to do that, whether it's through speaking engagements in the future, um, or website coaching, just finding ways to inspire people and remind them that uh, you overcame the odds of you being born, your parents having sex when they had sex, and that sperm meeting that egg was like 1 in a trillion. So the fact that you're even here is kind of a miracle. And take this opportunity and make the most of it, because there's nothing worse than regret. There's nothing worse than one day saying, what if I had asked that girl out? What if I had given it a shot being an entrepreneur? What if I walked into his or her office and struck up conversation? It's better to just give it a shot rather than always be conservative and take the easy way out. And I mean, if you're addicted to comfort, then I'm sure you're going to have a low stress life, but I would argue that you won't have a very fulfilling or meaningful life. But not everybody desires that. And that's what's beautiful about human beings is everybody has different desires and interests. So just because I want something doesn't mean you necessarily do, and that's all right. And then finally, I want to have impact. I'm not going to say I want to impact millions or billions. I'm not going to put a number on it, but I just want to continue to impact people. And whether that's one person listening to this podcast who texts me and says, "Hey, I really enjoyed that last episode," that means the world to me. I love hearing from people who take the time to check in and support what I'm doing here and all that. It really does mean a lot to me. I'm so stoked for just life in general. I've been feeling really good, positive, motivated, fueled lately. And I think a lot of that comes from the support that I have in my life. And that's a lot of you, the people who listen to this, and just, practicing what I preach. I think that's another big thing is a lot of times I say and write things, and it's honestly for myself. It's because I need to hear it. And then it's just icing on the cake when somebody else takes it and is able to apply it to their life. So with that said, this wraps up my first ever Q&A session. I appreciate all of you. I love you. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you again soon. All right. Bye-bye.